You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
You're gonna say the name of the show?
Type of time.
It's that type of time, it's that type of time. Yeah, can we catch a vibe? Can we catch a vibe? Yana type of time, Klara type of time. Yeah, Brooklyn type of It's that type of time, it's that type of time. Yeah, can we catch a vibe? Can we catch a vibe? Yeah, Yana type of time, Klara type of time.
Type of time,
yeah, Brooklyn type of time, Brooklyn type of time.
Welcome back to Type of Time podcast. I'm Ayana.
I'm Klara.
And we on some what it is to be black in America type of time today.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be talking about a slew of things.
Ooh, I like that word. That
Booming black business.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna be talking about ownership.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna be talking about crab in a barrel syndrome, because you know, let's be real, that's a real problem in the black community.
Definitely.
Some of us be acting like crabs. If you don't know what that means, we'll explain.
Yeah, definitely.
Why it's important to shop black, buy black. Is it reverse racism if you only buy black?
Controversial.
And some other things.
Of course.
So stay tuned. Stick with us. And we hope you enjoy.
Yes.
So there's a surge in black business, especially in Brooklyn. I mean, I feel like in Brooklyn, growing up, there was always lots of black business.
Definitely.
In the 90s, early 2000s, you know, we're in Flatbush right now. Flatbush.
It's called Little Caribbean.
Little Caribbean for a reason. A lot of the stores are owned by Caribbean people.
Yeah.
I think, like, Brooklyn is a good example of what it means to create, not necessarily create generational wealth here, but, like, people know the importance of building a foundation on your own.
Yeah.
You know, having something. There's stores here that's been here forever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, you were going to a store as a little girl and you still go to that store. It's still around.
Exactly.
It might not be like a chain. It might not be a franchise. It might not be this big thing. But there might only be one store. But it's survived.
Yeah.
You know?
That one store in your community.
Yeah. But now we're seeing a surge of young people starting their own businesses. And it seems like our generation, millennials, I don't know why they call us lazy. Because we really are going after our dreams.
That's true.
And we are very courageous and brave. And we're trying to be better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
Because reality is we have to create the change.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like kind of this mentality of like, even if it's not successful, we're still going to try. We're still going to start. And just see what happens. And it's not that serious. It doesn't have to be this like... Listen. So what if you're not the next Diddy or the next Oprah? But at least you can start something and have something of your own that nobody can take away from you.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Hotep culture. I don't know too much about it, but you did speak on this earlier. If you guys didn't see our YouTube video corresponding to this episode, check that out, because we talk about a whole other aspect of black culture.
Yeah.
But like Hotep culture, you mentioned that they were like ahead of the game.
Definitely.
You know?
Definitely. Like, you know, Hotep culture is like, you know, everything black. Like the pro-blackness it's deeper than social media. It's like a lifestyle. So just expanding on that, meaning, you know, buying black products, buying black, you know, owned things, and just being a part of just black culture in everyday life, not just saying it or one thing you have in your house. It's just Hotep culture was just pro-black, not was, but is, you know, pro-black to a different level that I think people don't realize was already here, and they're not emulating it in a different way that doesn't have the same core basis and the same core values. You know, some people would say Hotep is too extreme, but at the same time, with this Black Lives Matter movement, you know, the extreme side of it is that now we're attacking other people for not believing in what we believe in. So there's always an extreme in a movement. So it's interesting, you know, within the black businesses, how now everything is promoting black businesses and we should support them. But when this culture arose, it was, oh my God, they're so extreme, you know, like it was like similar to Malcolm X, like that kind of like, oh my God, no, this is too, in a sense, violent. Not in the sense of physical, but violent in the sense of it's like it will shake up the world in a way that will separate us in a different way to make us, as black people, feel different than white people or, you know, oppress us.
Malcolm X wasn't interested in being politically correct.
Yeah.
He just wanted to
be correct for the black people.
Right. He wanted to spark change. And that's what that was about.
Exactly.
And sometimes you just have to like say what it is. You know what I mean? If we're not buying black, who will?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna say that again. If we're not buying black, who else? Who will?
We have to make it a thing.
Right. We have to make it a thing because we're the only ones that will sustain this. You know, not saying that if you're not black, you're gonna never shop at a black owned store, never eat at a black owned restaurant. Yeah. But like you go to a Haitian restaurant, who you see eating there? Haitians.
Always. They friends with the people in the restaurant, like chatting, chilling.
Same thing with like a Jamaican restaurant. It's mostly West Indians or not always West Indians, but it's mostly black people in there. You might see a handful, like one white person in there.
Yeah, once in a blue moon.
Once in a blue moon.
That's a fact.
But not really. But if you go to an Italian restaurant, you'll see a lot of black people and a lot of white people in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, we have to be the ones to support each other and uplift each other. But on the same token, it's like you hear this criticism of black-owned business, right? Chances are, people think, you know, if you're a black-owned business and you're fairly new, the service is not going to be good or the product won't be of high quality.
Sure.
And I've experienced that as well, where like I've tried to support certain black-owned businesses and I'm disappointed in what I get.
Yeah.
And not saying that other companies that are not owned by black people don't mess up either.
Of course. It goes both ways.
It's a learning curve, right?
Yeah.
I used to be one of those people that would be like, I try to support black-owned businesses, but every time they disappoint me. I swear I used to say that.
Yeah.
Because in reality, a lot of times it's true.
Yeah.
You know, I went to go get Caribbean food today. Look how long I was waiting.
Yeah, it was almost like an hour for a couple of things. It's ridiculous.
And it was vegan food. And it's just like...
I don't even use grease.
No, but you know what? I wouldn't even like... I'm not going to even say the name.
No,
if you watch the video, you already know where the food was from. The food was delicious. I've had the food from there before. It wasn't like a terrible experience, but...
Just a service.
Nobody even said, oh, sorry, your food is taking so long. This is the issue. It wasn't crowded in there.
Yeah.
I was like the first person waiting. You know what I mean? Everybody else in there was behind me. And I waited for a good 30 minutes. And nobody said, hey, here's a complimentary this. Or this is the reason why. It wasn't until I looked at the girl. I didn't even say anything. Because I knew it was the purpose of this experience. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm not even going to like say anything. I just want to see how they handle this.
Yeah.
After a while, she was like, so we just waited on a veggie burger. And I was like, okay. And that was it.
No apology.
No apology, no explanation. We're just waiting on the veggie burger.
That's how it be, man. It's sad. It's sad because, like you said, you want to support these black businesses, but at the same time, you know, I feel like there's a certain level of treatment that we give our people, because I know, like for me, I like to eat Haitian food, right? But I know the day I'm gonna go get Haitian food, I don't expect to eat when I go to the store for at least an hour. Because I'm going to go, it's going to take me about 30 minutes to order it. And it's going to take me about another 45 minutes to get it. Then it's going to take me about whatever time to get back home to eat it. And then by that time, the food cold, so I got to warm it up. So it's another like 10 minutes to warm it. You get what I'm saying? Like,
but that's the sad part about it, though. It's like, it's kind of like this regard of like, they'll get it when they get it mentality. And not remembering that people are spending their hard-earned money on supporting you.
Exactly.
Half the people in Haitian restaurants eating food are Haitian people.
Exactly.
They can make that shit themselves.
I don't think they understand. I think that's what I'm saying. It's like that level of arrogance. Like, I'm here, you're here, so now, you know, you need me. It's like, nigga, no, I just don't want to cook today. and it'll be great to have my food in like 15 minutes, the way it's supposed to be as a fast food restaurant. It's one thing we're sitting and dining, but even then, so there's expectations, you know?
Right.
So why should I be sitting here for the same amount of time it would take me to be sitting and dining in this area? It doesn't make any sense. So it's interesting how customer service, I feel like, I'm not going to say it's better in white establishments. Let's be clear, you know? I guess I would say in our local community in terms of like the businesses and the black owned ones compared to probably some that are non-black owned, you might have a different experience, give or take who you are, you know?
Yeah, I think it's more so, like you said, it's more so just the local ones.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it's the fact that it's local. I think it's more of the size of the business. If it's a small business, it kind of feels like service is worse.
I see that.
Than if it's like a larger business or like a business with more than one location.
Yeah. They try a little harder. That's true. They got something to live up to.
Which is interesting because like I used to work at a restaurant. It's a chain restaurant, franchise restaurant, and you have several points of service.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to greet the customer within 2 minutes. Within 2 minutes, you're supposed to greet them. You're supposed to put down BevNap, which is like the little napkins that they put under your drink, kind of like a coaster type thing.
Yeah.
You're supposed to bring them water. Then you're supposed to ask them what they would like to drink. If they need more time, you leave, come back in 2 minutes. You're not supposed to leave the table alone. Now, what happens is in a restaurant, if the kitchen is too small to handle the volume of people in the restaurant, the kitchen is going to get backed up, so your food might take longer to come out, right? Now, this is what differentiates good service from bad service. If something is going wrong, it's all about communication.
Definitely.
If me as a waitress come to you and I say, I'm so sorry, I know you ordered the burger and I know you ordered the salmon, it's almost ready, it's just that the kitchen is backed up today. As you can see, we're very, very crowded.
Yeah.
And it'll be out in a few minutes. Is there anything I can get you in the meantime? Or like, my manager said, he wasn't supposed to say this, but he's like, you have to be resourceful.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's 50 cents for a chip refill, even if they didn't order any chips. Put in a chip refill. The chips are already ready. Grab some chips. Grab some salsa. Here you go. I'm offering you some complimentary chips. Just tell me, I'll comp 50 cents. Yeah. Because if they decide to walk out of here, I might be losing out on $100 versus losing 50 cents just to keep them satisfied.
Exactly.
But you don't even have to do that if you communicate well and you just tell people like this is going on. Most people will be like, I get it. I understand.
Simple.
The problem is when you don't come back and you don't say anything.
Exactly.
You just
or you get annoyed. Or you get annoyed when they're asking about what's going on.
You have to operate from a place of understanding. Remember, even though you're a business owner, even though you're a cashier, even though you're a cook or a waitress or whatever it is, just understand how it is to be a consumer.
Exactly.
Because we're all consumers, so we all know how we like to be treated.
Exactly.
So, and that's the thing that like people have to learn. I'm confident that the millennials will change that because we have a different outlook on things.
Definitely. Definitely. Like even within talking about this before, like I always like if I become successful in life, I would open a chain of like Haitian restaurants, and I would make sure like specifically to hire people within a certain age range just to like minimize like those certain types of like issues within the restaurants. Because I think sometimes with these black owned businesses, it's like the age difference, like people that just came into the country or have been in the country but they're immigrants now trying to have their business. There's a certain level of confidence that they have because they're doing something in America,
Right,
so they forget that people are human just like, you and I. So it kind of has like that level of separation versus like millennials were like, yo, this is dope. We got this on Flatbush. This is like this. So there'll be a different kind of energy that we put into the business. And that way people will be able to come. Every kind of person will come. Because I don't think it's necessary like we make businesses for just black people. Like I think as black people, we love when different kinds of people enjoy our food. Like we feel good. Like, yeah, that shit hit, right?
Yeah.
You know.
I brought Haitian patties that had
You know, everybody. Oh my god.
We had like a potluck, and they were like, "Oh, everybody bring a dish from your culture." I brought like a dozen Haitian patties or something.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh my god, I love the fish cakes." I'm like,
fish cakes? How? Oh, I gotta post it. Pass me that. Get that.
I mean, they didn't know any. Because when you say I bought patties,
yeah,
I feel like that's not like.
They think
when people
Jamaican
that are not
patties?
When people that are not they don't even know that that's that like a patty.
That's not a patty to them. We call it patties, but it's not.
We call it patty, but a patty to them is like a.
But that's
like a
French,
burger.
In French is a patty though. It's like pâté.
Yeah, but even pâté in French is not even a patty. It's it's just the meat.
Is it?
Yes.
I thought it was like the fact just the bread, like, you know.
It's like meat with bread on it. This is pâté. That's exactly what it is. It's like a spread, like a meat spread. But we put the meat inside of. Kind of like if you had the patty meat, but you just sold that by itself and put it on bread.
Got you.
But we sell the patty with the meat inside, like
got you.
So to them, a patty is like the beef in a burger is a patty.
Got you.
So they literally don't call it that, and we
fish
do.
Cakes?
They had no word for it. So but like it was just funny. I was like, fish cake. I was like, you mean a patty? They're like, yeah, the fish cake. And I'm like, okay. Right. Yeah, but like...
I would correct them. Like, no, in my culture, we call it patty.
Listen, it didn't even matter because just the excitement.
That's true.
To me, this is regular.
But, you know...
A patty? I would never be so excited about a patty. Unless maybe if I haven't had it in years or whatever. But, like... You know, this is normal. Right. It's just a patty. It's a little snack.
We can educate them. You know,
a little appetizer for me.
They learn filet mignon. They learn how to say, because they can learn how to say it's a patty, not a fish cake. Because a fish cake is something else. Not cooked the
Listen,
same.
I'm not going to sit here and give people a whole lesson in the middle of class.
There's a patty and there's a fish cake. I'm not going to do that. But yeah,
they were excited and...
But that's the point. You know, we want to share... We don't want, like, our black... Like, personally for me, I don't want black businesses, like, especially restaurants, to be only for black people. I want every kind of... Like, anybody to be able to enjoy this food. Because I think, especially food is inspired by every culture. You know what I'm saying? I know Haitians are inspired by Italian somewhere. And there's some like, there's different kinds of culture. African... Everybody has different kind of inspiration. So, we would definitely like to see other people enjoy our food. So, I thought Sansa gave me a signal.
But yeah, so let's move on. Let's talk about home ownership. I just pulled up this article, and according to statistics, it's not looking good for us.
You can't even speak.
Black home ownership has declined since 2012.
Wow. I'm
yeah,
shocked.
It seems like we are advancing overall, but like when you look at the stats, are we really, really, advancing?
Yeah.
As far as like when it comes to wealth, I mean, we're probably more educated than ever.
Definitely.
But when it comes to wealth, we're still way behind. According to this report from real estate brokerage Redfin, only 44% of black families own their homes as of the beginning of 2020.
That's good. That's more than I expected.
Okay, listen to the comparison.
Hey.
73.7% of white households.
Come on now. I mean, I get that, but I'm not gonna lie. 44% is higher than I expected. But at the same time, I think we could definitely hit that 70% over time, and it's something like, I don't think for black people we're taught the value of not just making $1. I think we only taught about making $1 as we're growing up. We're taught about just get that 9 to 5, get this, get the college degree, make sure you could take care of yourself. But we never taught about how to make our money make money.
Right, that's true. You do have a point.
So it's like we have to find these ways to find these other excess things, and eventually, by the time we get to them, or by the time we find a way, it's too late for a lot of things. Niggas is on the path of having kids. So it's like, all right, I gotta dial back. And so many people, I feel like they be on the verge of whatever to make that big business break. but they have to dial back and get like a realistic job because they're settling into their family because, you know, for 25 years of their life they were following a model that they were taught instead of trying to break out of it to find like, you know, new ways to have your own ownership, have businesses to support that kind of things, you know. And I also think it seems unrealistic at a point to think, oh, I could own that house. You know, when I was younger, I never thought I'm gonna buy a house. I thought I'm gonna rent a house.
No, see, but
it depends on who.
It depends on like
who you are, you know.
Right, who you are, what you're around, what people like, just limitations that people put on you as a child.
Definitely.
You know, I never really put too much thought on it. I don't think, but like, I never felt like I was gonna rent.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Even now, I'm gonna move out pretty soon, but like, I'm low key mad at myself. I'm like, I shouldn't move out to give somebody else my money. I should move out to own my own home.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, like my family owns a home. They've owned this home since the 70s. You know what I mean? My grandmother was a maid, and she bought a 3-story family house. Yeah, 3 separate apartments in one building that they still have to this day. Right. And I'm grateful because I lived in there growing up. For the first like 8 years of my life, we lived on the top floor. So it was a beautiful thing because I was raised around my cousins. They lived on the 2nd floor. So my uncle and his family lived on the 2nd floor. My father and my mother, my brothers and I, we lived on the top floor. And then in the basement, it was like people in and out, like tenants and things like that. My aunt came at one point. But like they all owned the home together. My grandmother, my aunt, my uncle, my father, they all put in their money. Yeah. My grandmother couldn't afford that house. Of course. But she said, you know what, you're giving me $500 a month. You're giving me $800 a month. And we're going to all pool our money. And we're going to own this home. And guess what? She was a visionary because we all live in that home now. Yeah. I live in that home now. Yeah. You know what I mean?
About something beyond when she was
right.
There, you know?
And it was a great investment. You know what I mean?
Of course.
I mean, there's also a downside to homeownership. Like, there's a lot of repairs you have to make. Everything is on you. Yeah. I mean, we have like it's a corner house, so it's just so much go. Oh, God.
I can only imagine. She's like, she didn't even talk about it. She got stressed thinking about this.
The amount of times I've swept leaves in the past month, man.
I can only imagine.
You gotta sweep leaves because you gotta think about, are people gonna try to sue you if they slip and fall, shoveling snow,
all that stuff.
Just picking up garbage outside your house or else you get a fine, making sure you're recycling properly and moving the car. It's just so much that goes into it, and it's just a lot of responsibility. But at the same time, it's security. Yeah, yeah. You know,
definitely. Like that was one of the arguments I had with my mom moving out. You know, she was like, Klara, just wait, secure more money, you know, before you go rent. Like, why waste that money? And my argument to her was this, like, renting will give me the urge to want to own. Do you get what I'm saying? Because if I don't put my money towards just the idea of like monthly that I have to pay this X amount, it's going to be hard for me to think about that in ownership. It's like we have to build to shit, low key. But I think what happens is that we get stuck. But for me personally, I know eventually, like when I was younger, I'm like, oh, rent. It didn't sound like nothing to me. But I learned, like, yo, if I put my money into this, it will be mine. Nobody could tell me nothing if I break this wall down in this fucking apartment. It's like, I want to do it, but I can't do it. I'm renting. I can't even put a hole in this wall. So it's like, you learn that things are not yours. And I think that's what people are ultimately learning. Like, things are not really mine. Like, I can't make that island in the kitchen that I want to now. Because, you know, people are more on YouTube, DIY. All the DIY shit, I'm telling you, that's why people are realizing things. Because they're like, man, I can't DIY my life because I don't own it. So with that, people are turning more into trying to have their, you know, homes and things like that. But at the same time, they realize it's hard. A mortgage, once you start paying for a mortgage, you can't explore a career because you're stuck to 9 to 5. Because if you leave that 9 to 5, you're gonna be in fucking debt. You know what I'm saying?
So that's what people think, but I think like this is just another limitation that we put on ourselves.
Definitely,
you know.
But you got a $2,000 mortgage. It ain't the time to go.
You know what though?
Try to
like,
be an actor now.
No, but
and I'm a theater major. I get it.
Like, here's the thing though. I think people are misinformed. You know what I mean? most of the times, a mortgage can be cheaper than rent, especially in New York City. You may
but you
think
need that
because
down payment, though.
Well, that's the thing. The down payment is the thing.
How many people got $50,000 in a
But listen, it's also too about research, looking up things, educating yourself. There's programs. There's a program called NACA. I'll tell you about it later. But it's a program that's meant for people who are of low income to own their first home.
Yeah.
So they require no down payment. Let's say your rent is $1,500, right? Let's say your mortgage is going to be around $1,800. So all you have to do is pay your rent on time for like a certain amount of time. They have to have a record of that, and then save an extra $300 just to prove that you can afford this home when you move out.
Yeah. And
that's basically how it goes. So there's like other ways around it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem too. We are not as educated, which is understandable because these white people have been fucking building like we were. Our ancestors were slow. You know, like
say it, girl. Don't sugarcoat it. Our ancestors were slaves.
Our ancestors were slaves. In the meantime, you know, our white allies, ancestors were slave owner. I'm trying to be nice.
Not allies.
Their ancestors were slave owners. You know, they owned plantations, which consisted of multiple homes.
Yeah.
On one huge plot of land.
Yeah.
They own tons of property. They own people. Businesses.
She said people.
Well, the whole thing was a business. You know what I mean?
She said people.
So like, that's passed on from generation to generation to generation.
That
and we kind of like are just,
understanding shit.
We're just starting to get the importance of it. You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
I mean, not saying that like, you told me earlier, I didn't know this, that like after slavery was abolished here, was a whole group of free black slaves who they were prospering.
They were putting in that work, you know what I'm saying? Because it was before, I guess after slavery, people didn't expect black people to find a way because, they thought they were so uneducated. They didn't have anything for themselves because for such a long time, people been, in control of them. But black people proved otherwise. So go in your history. They don't teach you this in schools. But there was a time where black people were prospering because out of this slavery, they found a way to make better for themselves because they didn't want to go back to not having anything for themselves. It was that, the whole sharecropping thing. People were working to get out of, like, not slavery because it wasn't slavery anymore, but just owing their slave master something. They just want to own themselves. So that movement of just wanting to own yourself created owning businesses and other kinds of infrastructure. So it's not new. This feeling.
You're right. It's not new, but the thing is, you said it a little earlier. We didn't learn it, but we don't know.
We don't know.
We're not taught about this. We're taught about slavery, though.
Yeah, we're not
taught about it. Every year they come out with a slave movie.
Definitely.
I don't even watch those shits anymore. Can't remember. Yeah. I think the last slave movie I watched was Django Unchained. I haven't watched 12 Years a Slave. None of those shits because I don't have interest. I don't need to see. The horror of it all. Because you're not going to program my mind into thinking that this is my destiny, this is my fate.
Got you. So that's a good.
I don't want to go there today.
We gotta pin this.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but I get you.
I want to see black people in a position of like, they didn't teach us that like kings and queens in Africa, and where we came from. We have to do our own digging. We have to educate ourselves at this point. Yeah. And that's low key part of the problem. It's like the information provided to us is the information that's used to put us in a certain place. It's like, okay, like it's not that we're hiding it from you, but if you don't look further, then I'm not saying anything. If you want to sit just like that, then fine. Right. And it's like, yo, we have a duty to ourselves to look beyond what's being given to us because we should know this is just a surface level shit.
we should know everything has deeper meaning to it. Like, a doctor tells you a diagnosis of something, there's more symptoms, there's deeper things to it. It's not all surface level. So we always have to break things down. What we hear one thing, we just take it as what it is, it's face value. And as Black people, it's a lot of things like they tell us that, well, we have never done in history. And it's not true. Like, like Obama becoming president, yes, he was the first Black president, but he wasn't the first Black person to run for president.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? There's so many things. There's so many things in history that gets overlooked, but we make it seem like this is like the first of its kind. It's like, no, this is the first of its kind to be recognized on this magnitude. But you have to remember, we as Black people always had this will and this desire to be on the same level. I wouldn't even say on top, but just on the same level as everybody else.
Yeah. But at the same time too, like, crabs in a barrel.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like,
Definitely.
we have this thing where we drag each other down
all the time.
And a lot of times people don't even realize that they're dragging each other down.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like the people who you love the most who will like shut you down, who will tell you can't do something,
Mm-hmm.
or you need to be more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a dream. That's a hobby. That's something you do on the side.
That's a fact.
And what are we teaching these kids? We teaching these kids by saying this, that they're not good enough. They're not good enough to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we have examples of it, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
We have famous Black poets and artists and things like that.
Yeah.
But if your child comes to you and tells you, Mommy, I want to be an artist, well, how about you be an art teacher?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can be an artist on the side because
Exactly.
you need to just be secure. Well, Mommy,
It's not enough for me.
it's not enough. And how would you know? Because
Exactly.
you weren't brave enough to go after your dreams.
Exactly.
So how dare you tell me I can't? But this is like what we deal with on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at white people and you're like, not saying that every white family
Gives them this freedom.
right
Mhm.
has this freedom to just do whatever they want either.
Yeah.
Not saying that just because you're white you're rich
Yeah.
or anything like that, but generally it seems as a whole they're a
Mhm.
little more supportive.
Yeah.
And even if they're not supportive, like even if they just feel like, you have to do this, even if they're still controlling over their children as far as like what their career would be or what school they need to attend, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
they would still help them. They would still set them up. You hear stories of like, my parents paid for my college.
Yeah.
My parents took out a second mortgage on their home
Mm-hmm.
to pay for college or pay for my parents co-signed on a home for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Shit like that.
I don't know nobody
I know a couple Black people.
whose parents did that for them.
I know a couple Black people, but
I mean, not
they're
every
well
parent can
off.
afford to do that.
Yeah, they well off. These are not like broke Black people that I know that did this. You get what I'm saying?
Listen, my father is a lawyer.
It depends on the person too, though.
I couldn't even tell him I had a scholarship.
No, I get it.
He didn't even know.
He couldn't.
Because he had to help pay my brother's, but my brother's tuition was fairly cheap too.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
Mm-hmm.
his mentality is like typical Haitian. I did it. I came here. I'm not even from here, and I did it. I was on scholarship. If I got a scholarship, you can get one too.
Yeah.
And I did because I had to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
And like, I had to take out loans for grad school, and it just is what it is.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? I don't even have the expectation of like, can you help? I don't even ask, can you help me?
I get it.
But if you, in a way, it's good because it teaches you to be independent. It teaches you to figure things out on your own.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like, can we just get a little more support? You know what I mean?
I get it. See, for me, it's like the opposite. Like, my mom paid for my college. But because she paid for my college, it's like she got to dictate what I do within my college.
But that's another thing, too.
Yeah.
That's another thing, too. Why can't you just be happy that, like, she's even
going to college.
going to college?
Yeah, I
know?
mean. But for her, it was more of a case where we're going to college, obviously, to get a job to make money, right? So, I personally always been one of those children, you could say, that's been into the arts in different kinds of ways. I've always been a writer, always created plays, stories. So I don't think I was ever going to be a doctor, but because my mom had this like vision, that's what I was going to be. A doctor or architect, something within the sciences or math, because I wasn't bad at it. But I didn't care for that shit.
Yeah.
You couldn't force me to do homework. You couldn't force me to do anything I didn't want to do. I was that kind of kid too. Like, I don't give a fuck. I will fail every class just to prove a point. You know? So within that it's like that crabs in the barrel mentality too, because you don't believe in yourself, because your parents, because of their fear of what's going on outside, as for you as a black, a black child or their black child, they don't want you to go for your dreams because of their own fear. And it's not a fear that you necessarily have yourself. It's like, that's my nigga, that you scared that I'm not gonna make money. Yeah. But I know if I'm not making money, I have no problem going to Target and copping a job and having a side and still working my shit. I'll make it work. I have no shame, because at the end of the day, I won't be subjected to living a life like this forever where I'm not happy going to work. I'm not happy doing what I want to do. There has to be a balance, because ultimately we saw the results of not being happy in your life,
Yeah. Like, I was working at a news station, and I told a few people in my family I wanted to quit. Mm-hmm. And they were like, why? And I'm like, I'm just really not happy. I love working in media. Mm-hmm. Clearly. Yeah. But but I was just like, it's making me depressed. Yeah. You are constantly looking at police reports. You're constantly talking about politics. This was during the election. And it was just too much for me. There was a lot going on in my life. And I was just like, I'm done. I'm over it. Yeah. If I decide to continue with this path, it's going to be on my own platform. Mm-hmm. I was like, I'm going to start a blog. I was already doing a podcast with my brother at the time. Yeah. I was like, I'll figure it out. I could freelance with other places, but working here, I already realized it's not the right setting for me. Mm-hmm. We just going to quit and figure it out. Yeah. Why don't you just stay for 20 years and just retire, and then you can do what you really want? I was like, what? Is this what you guys were taught? Because
that's what they were taught, to sit tight.
So I'm supposed to be miserable every day for the next... Yeah. If you knew what I was making, though... Yeah. There was no fucking benefit. Like, seriously.
I get it. And
I was making like $40K. Like, that's... To be miserable, really.
It's not worth it.
And mind you, like... This is news, hard news. So, this is 24 hours. 24 hours news cycle. This is like open all day, every day. Yeah. Doesn't matter if it's a holiday, because it's news. The news doesn't stop.
The news don't stop. Yeah.
So I'm missing Thanksgiving. I'm missing Christmas. I sometimes gotta be at work at 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
Yeah, it's not
sometimes gotta be at work at midnight. If God forbid there's a terror attack or something crazy happening, I might have to stay at work till 3 a.m.
You have to stay overtime. Yeah.
If it's a snowstorm, I still gotta be at work. You put me up in a hotel, but like, I gotta trek through that snowstorm to get to the office. You know what I mean? So it's like all of this just because you want to brag and tell your friends that Ayana works at this new station, and people watch it. So you're like, my daughter works here. Look at her name in the credit, and it's just like, yeah. But
you don't know what goes into it,
right? Yeah. It's just why do they do that? And then like. You made a good point about fear. Mm-hmm. So I've been having this conversation with my aunt, right? Mm-hmm. I'm really close to my aunt. My aunt went to Columbia. She's a dental hygienist, and she went to Columbia for like her, I guess it was her master's degree. Right. So I was applying to Columbia. Columbia was the only grad school that I applied to. I told her I was applying. She told me don't. She was like, you're not gonna get in. Mm-hmm. I was like, what?
That's crazy.
You're not going to get in. What's your GPA? I don't think you're going to get in. And I was like, okay. My father told me the same thing. You're not going to get in. Okay. So, but if I don't, why does it matter?
And why already put that negativity on somebody's dream or somebody's just hope? It's like, so what if they don't get in? Just be like, okay, good luck. I really hope you get in. But it's so simple.
But why even like what you said? Why even say? Even if I didn't get in,
it's okay.
My life doesn't end because I didn't get into school. Exactly. There's always I could always reapply. I could apply elsewhere. Like I could work for a year. I might have been like 22 or something, 21. I went straight from college to grad school. Yeah. So like.
I don't.
I think I was 22. Okay, so big fucking deal. She goes a year between college and maybe I would just work full time and figure it out. But like,
why put that? Trust me, I get it.
What was even the point? And I bring that up now. We had this conversation a few weeks ago, and she's like, "You always love to bring that up." I'm sorry. I said I was sorry.
No, they don't.
And she's like, "It was just my." She said the same thing you said. She was just like, "I was fearful," and I was like. But why were you fearful when you went there? Exactly. And you went there in like the 80s. Why were you? Because I sat in class and there was only me and one other black girl in the class, and then she was the type of black girl who was, you know, she didn't even want to talk to me. She didn't want to be associated with another black person.
Mm-hmm.
She was one of those, and so I felt like I was on my own. And I remember specifically the director came in the room and they said, not everyone's gonna make it, and she came and stood next to me, and my experience there was terrible. Or,
of course, I can only
okay, sis, I hear you, I feel you.
It's a different
but
time.
That doesn't change the fact that you still got in against all odds.
Yeah.
So why did you think that I couldn't?
Yeah. I don't think they understand how that downplays somebody's aspirations. You know, like, coming from Caribbean culture, if anything, like, for example, I tried to apply for Juilliard for my master's. And then I was like, Juilliard.
Yeah, like, why do they do that?
Like, what is Juilliard?
It's to the point, it makes you not want to tell them anything.
And that's ultimately what it became. Like,
right.
I don't tell you nothing.
They get upset. And they get upset. It was like,
yeah.
We've been working on this for a while now. I don't even say, like, we're doing YouTube, we're doing podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
I just say, like, I'm working on a project.
Yeah.
What project?
Yeah, I get it.
Don't worry, just a project.
I get it.
You'll see.
I get it.
Because I'm afraid that if I tell you, you're going to put this negative energy on it.
Definitely.
And then if it doesn't turn out the way we want it to be,
mm-hmm.
I'm going to feel like it's because it's just like a weird thing.
Nah, trust me, I get it.
Because I told you now it didn't
mm-hmm.
work out.
Trust me.
You know, but it's sad that you have to hide things like that from people that you talk to on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And people that love you, you know they love you and you love them, but like,
yeah.
Why are you trying to tear me down?
Yeah.
You know?
It's not only family, too. It's also friends sometimes, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, friends, you tell them about a thing, like, yo, I just did this. Like, can you look at it? Like, yeah. Gas you. Oh, yeah, I got you, man. Week, 2 weeks, month, 3 months, 4 months. And of course, you want to hit the person up, like, yo, did you see it? Obviously not. Like, if you saw it, you would have hit me up and talked about it. But it's a case where that itself puts people at a disadvantage, because it's like you would want the yes or the support from the person, at least if you're not getting from your parents, from your friends, you know, people that surround you, talk to on the daily, you know. So it's interesting that could also play an effect on your confidence to move forward in these kind of like projects or business or just any of these, like, you know, adventures.
Yeah, I mean, that affected me for a long time, these
mm-hmm.
little, because it was constant. It was like every little thing y'all coming for me. Like, I switched my major to English. That was a thing.
Oh,
what are
yeah.
you going to be, an English teacher?
Yeah, trust me.
Why not?
That's
There's nothing wrong with being a fucking English teacher. You know what I mean?
Trust me.
So what?
That's right.
Teachers can still
they
can still make a decent living. You get out
and
fucking
live comfortably.
It's funny because I did end up being a teacher, which was not really my plan.
Yeah.
But like, I'm home by 3.
Yeah,
I have time to work on my personal projects.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
a good balance.
This is not necessarily like the end goal, but in the meantime, it's okay. You know what I mean? It's okay in the meantime.
Exactly.
I have plenty of time to focus on myself. We get summers off. We get lots of days off. It's just, there's nothing wrong with it. You put people on you feel like you pigeonhole people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And they don't even realize. To them, it's all about status and what people think of you and money.
Definitely.
But I think millennials, we're focused more on happiness.
Yeah.
Because status and money is not going to bring happiness.
At all.
And it's good because we understand that from a young age, you know?
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting because, like, the only reason why I triple majored is because I knew English wouldn't be enough. You get what I'm saying? If I just said, oh, I'm just majoring in English, jeez, I'm glad. I'm like, how about this, my nigga? I got 3 degrees, now what? There's nothing you could tell me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's in 3 degrees. It doesn't matter. It's like, at the end of the day, I did 3 times the work. So I don't want to hear anything about what I choose to do in my next life. You should be 3 times as satisfied. Because now it's a case where that doctor degree, or if I went to school for medicine or I went to school for architecture, it would have taken me less time than when I got those 3 degrees. And it's in 3 fields that I'm genuinely passionate about, because it took me almost 3 years in college to be like, nah, fuck this. I'm going to do my shit. Mind you, 3 years. So I done wasted 3 years of college trying to fit in this mold of what it's supposed to be, or what was supposed to give me, in a sense, money, generate money to sustain some type of wealth. And I'm like, nah, if I do this shit, man, it's a joke.
Exactly. And then there's this ongoing trend now of people who are like, they go to college, they go to law school, medical school. Well, I don't really hear it so much with medical school. But, like, I hear it a lot with law school. People who are lawyers and then they just quit their job out of the blue and just become, like, a personal trainer or something completely different. Like I've heard a lot of stories like that, you know? and they become really successful in the new career because, you know what? We have something to prove. But the thing is, why did it have to be so hard? Why are y'all making it? It's our loved ones that's making it harder for us.
I think that's all. That's what it is mostly.
Instead of just saying, like, I have faith in you. I know you're going to figure it out. I don't get it. But, like, I know it's going to be okay because you're always okay. And I told my aunt, I said, don't ever tell me I can't do something ever again. Yeah. So what if Columbia was the only school I applied to, got in, and what? And and that's something I hold over their heads. No, they can't say whenever nothing. I tell them I'm doing something and I what? Oh, never mind.
Yeah. There's nothing to say.
I'm like, when have I ever told you I was going to do something and I haven't done it? Yeah. I shut them down now because I don't even want to allow that in my space. Definitely. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Trust me. I get it. We have to continue to prove them wrong, but at the same time, we're teaching them. You know, it's not necessarily like, oh, fuck you. Ha ha, ha ha. It's like, yo, I hope this changes your mentality about not only what I could do, but how you should feel in terms of what fear is inhibiting you to move forward. You get what I'm saying? So you should realize, look, the fear I have for my kid shouldn't be existing because my kid don't even have that fear. Look at what my kid is doing. Look what my niece or whoever, look what they're doing. God damn. Okay.
Yeah, I think when anybody is just like, whatever you choose to do, if it's something that you're happy with, if it's something that's you just something that you want to do, you should just be supportive of the person. And I think that Black people in general, just our first reaction sometimes is something that's just negative. And it's not good. You know, we need to be a little more supportive of each other. Definitely. You know, I'm grateful because I feel like I have some pretty supportive friends. Yeah. And even sometimes too, I feel like my friends have made little comments here and there and shit like that. But for the most part, I can say people come on the lives, the Instagram lives that we do, and people share, and vice versa. Yeah. You know, so I think for us to get better, we have to create like collectives. Yeah. We have to
low-key set the example too.
Yeah, just set the example and just be better for our kids and the next generation.
Definitely. It's important because we can't allow the cycle to continue. Like, I already know if my kid, boy or girl, like, I want to be a ballet dancer, mommy, I'm buying you the fucking ballet slippers. If you don't want to do it next week, it's all right. We'll figure something else out. Because I understand the mind. I understand, like, being inspired by something and just how that one inspiration could lead you to your ultimate talent.
Yeah, that's what I've learned. Like, just in life, the first thing that you choose to do is not always going to be the thing for you.
Definitely not.
You might not be good at it.
Definitely not.
Or you might not even be that passionate about it. You might just think this is the direction you're headed. But eventually, you'll figure it out. And you have to go through those low points to get to the high point and figure out what's really meant for you. Yeah. And, you know, when you get to the point where you're strong and you're confident, nobody can tell you anything. But, like, why do we have to go through so many hurdles, though? You know?
I think it's just, like I said, it's like self-projecting fear from everybody around us. You know, you don't see, especially when you're Black, you don't see a lot of examples. You see a couple, you can name one or two. But, like, for example, like what I was just saying, ballet. You know, for somebody like Missy Copeland, I don't know if you know her. Like so she's like the first of her kind. You get what I'm saying? Like, imagine a little Black girl want to be a ballet dancer, but it's like a Black mom. Is she wrong for telling her, like, yo, chill out? They don't really have that much Black. You're not going to be on the Nutcracker.
But,
you know what I'm saying? But you have to think about it like that, too.
We don't. No, I don't.
I'm not saying it's right,
Let me tell you why.
It's
because
just fear, though.
We don't have to...
I'm not saying she's wrong. I'm not saying it's right, though.
There's a book called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, and it's about creativity. And she talks about the struggling artist and how, like, a lot of artists feel like they have to be tortured. A lot of artists or writers are, like, alcoholics, and writers specifically tend to have drinking problems. Or a lot of musicians have drug problems. And they feel like if they're not uninhibited, they can't create their best work, or something holds them back, and then they become addicted to this. So they feel like without the alcohol, without the drugs, they can't be good at something. And she's like, if you're an artist, you're an artist. If you're a writer, you're a writer. Whatever your craft is, you do that, you feel this happiness. You feel a sensation. And that's what it should be about. It doesn't necessarily have to always be a means to an end.
True.
I'm not going to be like, oh, you're not an artist because you've never sold a painting. You're still an artist. Definitely. Still paint.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where people go wrong. They're putting a level of expectation. You might not be the next Misty Copeland, but you can still be a ballet dancer. You can still join a local ballet company and live your best life. You can have your day job, and after work, come to your ballet company, and you're not going to feel any less fulfilled.
True.
Of course, it would be great to make a living off of just your passion alone. Yeah. But, like, you're still going to have a pretty complete life. Yeah. If you're still consistent, you know what I mean? Yeah. You're going to be good.
I think it's just as long as you're doing it. Yeah. I think it's a balance, but I think it's hard for people to get rid of, like, that big dream and just settle. Or not even settle, or just alter. Because sometimes, you know, look at basketball players. Like, they get, like, a career-ending ACL torn in, like, knee. So they have to become sportscasters.
But they still seem pretty happy
doing that. That's my point. So it's all about it's all about how you gotta alter your image. You know what I'm saying? Like, I might not want to be a doctor anymore, but I still want to help people in some kind of way. So it's like understanding the root of your passion and understand the realism of your passion. So you have to differentiate between those two. And I think it's hard for people to, like, get from, like, oh, the dream, and, like, my nigga, now let's look at the reality. Like, the dream and the reality are two different things, you know, ultimately.
But this is why, like, I'm not mad at people who kind of, like, quote unquote sell out. Because, like, how you gonna tell me I'm selling out? Like, black owned businesses, and they go, I'm so sorry, I don't have the corona.
It's okay. It's alright. I trust you.
Excuse me. Like, black owned businesses who sell to larger corporations. Yeah. I don't blame them, because they already know what it feels like to quote unquote make it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Who are we to tell them you shouldn't have sold?
You could have made it higher.
But, like, what's the difference between them telling us to shrink our dreams and us telling them to expand their dreams? Maybe it's not a passion anymore. Maybe they don't have it in them to continue to expand this thing. Maybe they have other passions. You know, I had a goal, take my company to this level. I surpassed that goal, and my life is suffering now. It's still mine. I still created it. I still made history. It's still a great product. Let me sell it to a company, not necessarily black owned, but I know the company will still incorporate my vision.
Right. I hear you.
What's wrong with that?
I hear you. For me, I guess there's nothing. Okay, let me not say there's something wrong with it, but my issue, I would say, with it, there's a way, in a sense, to distribute, like, the weight. It's like any business or any, like, chain reaction of thing. We know once you put it in this hand, the scale's gonna tip over this way, right? So, for example, if I have a black-owned product, right, and if I have something that's related to hair. This is related to, like, black people hair. I put it in a room full of white people. But they know it's successful. They know it's not bullshit. But how the fuck are they supposed to relate to this? How the hell are they supposed to understand that, you know, if it's too much water, our hair's gonna revert? Like, it ain't good for us. There's certain things, it's a certain little colloquial shit that we have within our, like, you know, everyday conversations that they wouldn't even be able to understand us. So when you pass down your business to another person, it loses its essence to me, because then it's not about the control from you necessarily, but it's more about protecting the core of the company or the brand of the company. And it's not to say that white people cannot understand black business, but I don't think it's gonna be the same as the way a black person will understand a black business and how they would protect it. You know, it's like there's certain words you would hear be like, you cannot put that on the product. Hell no. Like, for example, when H&M went through their whole monkey phase.
Oh, how did you feel about that, by the way?
That's what I'm saying. If they had some black people in that office or that boardroom, that shit would have never passed.
Well, listen, the boy's mother was there. She said that
I'm not talking about the boy's mother. It
wasn't a big deal.
Of course, it's not a big deal.
I personally didn't find that to
check.
I didn't find that to be a big deal either.
Honestly, for me, I'm not gonna say it was a big deal. But if I saw it, I'd be like, damn, that's kind of crazy.
I probably wouldn't even catch that if, like, I would have caught that. I probably would have bought a shirt like that for my guys to not realizing, oh, shit, are they trying to say he's a monkey? You know what I mean? I probably wouldn't have, because...
I get it.
You know what it is?
I get it.
It's about, like, if your intention is to be evil...
Of course.
Then you might think something and everything is gonna be it's gonna be warped.
I guess
that's your outlook.
Yeah.
If you're searching for things to be racist, then everything is every little thing is gonna appear racist.
Definitely.
You know?
I agree. Like I think with the H&M thing though, it's like with something like monkey, it's not something like black people being compared to monkeys. It's not something we're talking about that happened 20 years ago. Michelle Obama was compared to that by like news stations. So this is something that's very recent. So to have a black boy in H&M rocking a monkey, whatever, it's kind of like out of all shirts, you got all kinds of other animals. We couldn't let a little white boy rock the shirt from now. You get what I'm saying? Like, we could have figured this out, because if you scroll through H&M now, you see a bunch of like black models, but in that time there wasn't that many black models. So we used this one little black boy to promote a monkey.
They were black. This wasn't that long ago. Bro, this might have been 2 years ago.
Again, 2 years ago. We're talking about now how the Black Lives Matter movement has impacted money and monopoly. Now I'm looking on H&M, right? I'm looking at these black girls. They got cornrows in their hair. I used to work for H&M. I used to be around when they hang up these posters for these people. There was no black girls in cornrows. They either had no hair, they look like they're from Somalia or some shit. Like, there was never...
I know, I'm not laughing. I'm laughing because I know what you mean. Yeah.
You know the girl from Macy's. You know what I'm talking about. They really had no hair. They were dark skinned. They didn't have like the variety of dark skinned or even black women, light skinned, every kind of woman they have now. Now they have box braids, they have cornrows. They actually have hair on their head. To make it exotic, they used to just have these dark skinned, you know, no hair, like just to show like, oh yeah, we got them. We got the exotic black people. Here we go. But now it's like, oh, they come in all shapes and sizes, of course, duh. So now with the H&M monkey guy, the monkey boy, for me personally, I looked at it. I wasn't like, oh my god,
he's a cute little boy. You know what it was? I was just like, he's so cute. I'm gonna Google it.
I'm like, I wasn't offended, but I could understand the offense. But I do believe though, there is now that thing for people to be like getting offended about things, like for example Aunt Jemima and like,
right,
and like
but y'all still buy that
shit
though.
slap. Yeah,
that's okay.
Like Uncle Ben's, all those things. It's like, I get it.
He's adorable. Come on.
But yeah, his shirt says "Coolest monkey in the jungle," bro.
Somebody should have caught that. You know what I mean? Because there was another. They have the same shirt in a different print, and it says something line. I remember this clearly. It was another little boy, and he was white, and he had on the same shirt, but it was a different.
So he could have worn the coolest monkey in the jungle.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It didn't have to be on this, you know.
And that's the issue. That was the main issue. At the end of the day,
here you go. Here it is.
At the end of the day, it's like brands need to be more aware of what they're doing in terms of what they're promoting, especially referring to black people as monkeys. We already know how sensitive, that is for us. So they fucked up. Well, H&M has since cleared their name.
So we still shop at H&M.
Well, I haven't shopped at H&M in a minute since I left them as employment.
Cause you tired of them though. That's different.
Yeah.
But like I don't know if I need like a quick basic. And I used to hate H&M. When I tell you I used to hate it.
Yeah.
But like if I need a quick legging, a quick t-shirt, H&M. Was cheap, fast fashion, just real quick.
Real
I know
quick,
I'm gonna get,
bop, bop, bop.
and I'm gonna find what I need there. Okay, whatever. Like, I'm not gonna. Sad to say, but like, it's good to say we're gonna buy black, but like, I can't buy black for every little thing right now. It's just not that accessible.
It's not that accessible. It's not that much.
Right.
But that's what I'm talking about. You see how you were stating, like, it's not easy for us to get into, like, certain positions. But in order for us to maintain, like, black businesses or just shopping being pro-black, we have to get to a point where we become these, like, mega businesses. So it won't be so difficult. If we all stop at a certain, like, you know, line, okay, we did it, we made it. Now I'm going to just sell my company. Then it's just going to be a continuation of just that. And we're never going to be fully black owned or fully able to be like, all right, I just want a simple t-shirt to get today. Let me go to Raquisha's and get a t-shirt instead of like, I don't know.
Why is that your example?
Because that was the first black name I thought about. But you get what I'm saying? Like, we're going to go to Raquisha's to get it instead of rainbows. You know, it's like that would be the automatic, like, main basic destination place. For a drugstore, you know what I'm saying? We're going to go to Tyrone's. For our drugs, you know what I'm saying? The pharmaceutical kinds. But, like, it will be like... But if we start creating these chains of these things, it will promote the need to, in a sense, have our own, and it won't just be a conversation. It won't be so difficult. But, hey.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like we're getting better.
Yeah, we are definitely though. So I'll say that we progress. You
know, hopefully by the time our future kids are our age, we could have, you know, look back on this and say, you know, we've really come a long way. Because we have come a long way.
Yeah,
so far.
We have.
Now definitely. We just gotta keep going, and you know, like, guys, if you out here reading this, I'm drunk.
She drunk.
You out here listening to this, watching the video proportion. Cause you guys gotta watch that too.
Yeah.
Do better.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? If a friend comes to you saying, I want to start this, don't tell them, oh, well, there's a million of those out there.
Yep.
What's gonna set you apart? No.
Listen.
Okay, friend, I believe in you. I support you. Give them positive feedback.
Exactly.
You know, like our Instagram lives that we've been doing every week. Tuesday nights at 8:30, by the way.
Yeah. Catches.
I sometimes I don't even remember to show you the feedback. But like every week I get feedback from somebody, and it's like they tell me good things and bad things and give me ideas. I mean, you gotta take like the criticism with a grain of salt, but like I appreciate the fact that you took the time out to listen and be like, I really like the way you said that, but I think it would be helpful if you did this instead, or you know.
Yeah, I get it.
How could I be mad at it? Even if you don't agree or you feel like the person is making the wrong decision.
You took the time. You took the time.
Don't make the person feel like what they're saying is impossible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's not.
I agree.
And having that mentality is not going to help us. It's just going to keep us down.
Definitely. We need to just understand, like, we could love everyone while, you know, still being, like, not critical to be detrimental, but be critical so it's, like, constructive. So it's a case where we want to see you grow. I see this in you. You already have, like, all the tools. I just, you know, just for me, I see this, and it always will like be able to give a good like spiral of positive energy, and it will go back to you in some way. Like karma is good when you're doing good to karma. So it's just one of those things. I feel like if Black people just supported each other with positivity and gave constructive criticism, not necessarily just criticism, then a lot of things would grow around us. Yeah.
But that being said, that's all I got for today.
Me too, man. We
talked about a lot.
We talked about a lot. Too much blackness.
Yeah, if you haven't watched the video component of this podcast episode, please go and watch it, because we react to a mukbang talking about BLM. Not even Black Lives Matter.
BLM. Hashtag BLM.
So we share our thoughts on Black Lives Matter. We share our thoughts on
everything.
Everything related to that.
divine.
And it's not, I guarantee you, it's not what you think. We're not going to say what you think we're going to say.
Right.
But, like, add to the conversation, okay?
Please.
Go back and watch that. And we hope you enjoyed this one. Let us know what you think.
Right. Check
Is there anything that we're missing? Is there anything you want us to talk about?
Please. Let us know.
Right.
Let us know. You're part of the community, part of the conversation.
Right. This is interactive, okay? Interactive conversation.
Definitely.
But until next time.
Yeah, guys. See you.
This is our type of time.
Our type of time. And that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like
keep that on.
Huh? Okay, that's how you know it was a good show. That's a good show. That's